Welcome to ToxicGivens.com. Now, the title of this is Tough Hunting in Mississippi. Now, we normally hunt in Mississippi a few days after Thanksgiving, and then we hunt during Christmas break. Now, hunting this year was hard. We're allowed to hunt 320 acres in this hardwood swamp, and I mean swamp. And it's mainly, hardwood trees. And this year was a bumper crop of acorns, and the acorns just seemed to last throughout the season. So with that saving, our deer sightings was down during daylight hours. And the trail camera showed that. I mean, as we looked at our trail camera photos at our food plots and other areas, 95% of them were just deer, nice bucks, nice does, at night. I mean, 95%. I've never seen anything like this before, especially up here hunting this 320 acres that we've been hunting. Now, with all that said, we still had 3 of the best bucks we've ever had up there. So we were excited about that because we were going to be able to hunt these bucks. But the bad news is all the camera photos were pretty much at night. So the first buck I want to show you here is the one we call lopsided. He's got 2 on his right hand side, and he's got 5 on his left hand. And as you can see in this video, he's a nice buck, nice mature buck. He's not the prettiest horned deer. And another one we got was his drop time 8, which you can see here. I actually got a few photos I can show you during the daylight hours. You can see him here. So as you can see here. Now, the final buck is probably one of the biggest bucks we've ever got up there in this swamp. He's called Big Boy. He's a 10-point. He doesn't have much G4s, but he's a nice buck. I mean, that's a huge buck for a swamp, Mississippi swamp buck, but there's not much agriculture around. So, there's not a lot to eat during the year, but yet he still put on antlers like that. So it's a real nice buck. So we have these 3 bucks, and all the photos are at night. And then all of a sudden, we get 4 inches of rain within 4 days. So hunting in a swamp, they call it a swamp for a reason. The creeks start flooding, and they come up. Sure enough, they come up, as you can see in these photos. So it's 4 days we couldn't get in there and hunt because we're afraid we'd get across the creeks, and you can't get out if it rains. So next thing you know, we got to wait for the creeks to go down. So it was tough hunting. Luckily, we had another place to hunt. It's 100 acres that we have access to. It's about 10 miles away from here, from where we were hunting. And so we took my son. He's 12 years old. And it was a good time for him to get out. And he took his Rubik's Cube that he got for Christmas and was trying to figure that thing out. And, of course, we had our iPhones, and we were passing the time. And lo and behold, about 4:30, we had a doe and 2 fawns come out. And it's quite early. And so we knew we had a good 45, 50 minutes to go. And one of the fawns was a little buck fawn. So we sat there and watched them. The only problem with this is they came out really, really close. Instead of coming out on the far edge of the food plot, they popped up right up close to us. And so I told Tad that we were going to shoot that big doe if nothing else came in. So we watched the deer and watched the deer. I'm actually speeding it up. And so we got to about 10 minutes into this, and I got to thinking, I was like, well, you know what? He's 12 years old. He's only killed a couple of bucks. He's never killed a doe. Let's go ahead and shoot this doe and don't wait. You never know. A coyote come running in, the wind shift or whatever. So I told him we were going to shoot this doe. So now he's got to get the gun up and get it in position and quietly. And, of course, his heart's beating. Anytime you're watching deer that close looking at you and all that. So we're sitting in a Texas Hunter, and he's in between. So he's sitting on a couple cushions. So he's trying to get the gun down, and they're so close, so he's having to aim down the hill. So we finally get him to spread apart, and he's fixing to shoot this doe. Now, let's watch this shot. It should be coming up pretty soon. And so I'm sitting there videoing it, and I told him to put it right behind his shoulder, but he was excited. There goes his shot. And so the deer rears back, and I'm thinking it's a pretty good hit. Don't quite know where it was because I was looking through the viewfinder. So the deer runs off into the woods, and so we're excited. So we sit there about another five minutes, and thinking that he made a good shot. We watched the video back, and I noticed it was a little low. And later on, to this day, I still don't know exactly where he hit the deer. So anyway, we get out of the blind, and we start looking that night. And we go exactly where she runs in there, and we find about 7, 8 drops of blood in one spot where she stopped. Then she goes another 20 yards, and she she bled a couple more drops, but there's no blood in between. So we're starting to worry a little bit. So it's like 45 degrees. So we back out and we say we come back in the daylight and, you know, pay attention in the daytime. So we go back the next day and we look for about an hour and a half, and we could find no blood other than those two spots. So what we figured out was he probably shot her low in some of that skin fragment, or maybe the joint of her elbow or something like that. I don't think it's a non-lethal hit, and she probably survived. And we got the cameras out, and we're gonna see if she comes back in there. But anyway, him being 12 years old, I told him, you got to make the shot. And that's just part of a learning experience. I had to learn it. My dad had to learn it. He's got to learn it. You guys had to learn it. So he still had a great time. And anytime you can take your kid to the woods and spend time, especially shoot at something, and next time he knows how important it is to make the shot, and we'll get that doe. Now the water came down and we got back across the creek. And so the last couple of days we're going to hunt these bucks hard, those 3 bucks that we showed you earlier in this video. So I'm sitting in the stand. It's about 9:45. So Dad and I talked about it, and we were going to get down. So I started eating a Pop-Tart. And next thing I know, I hear some noise to my right. Sure enough, I look over there. Here comes a shooter buck. I can see the horns, and I said, "Oh, that's a nice one." So as you can see in the video, I get the camera turned on. If I'd have left the camera alone at that position right there where you see, I would have been fine. But I moved it over, and then I realized that, hey, he's searching for a doe. So I grunted him stop, which you could hear, and there you can see him in the black circle. And luckily enough, I just gave up on the camera, and I grunted him stop. First time I ever done that, it actually stopped him. And you hear me cough a little bit because I had a little Pop-Tart in my mouth. I was choking on a little bit because it happened so fast. So it's a really fast camera. And work. And so basically I was going to try to video him, but then I realized he was just running too fast. He was searching for a hot doe. So I gave up, and luckily the camera was okay, and I barely got him in that top part, and so I was lucky to get that on video. It's like I said before in the Reality Hunt Club series that we have, it's hard to video during the rut. The bucks are not feeding. They are either chasing a doe, they're searching for a doe, or they're just trying to get somewhere where they can find a doe. It's just not easy to move that camera around and shoot that deer at the same time. I'm amazed I got it. Matter of fact, I was editing other video and I watched this. I didn't even know I had it for a week. So anyway, I could share that with you guys. Now, those 3 shooter bucks most likely going to make it because there's not a ton of pressure around there, around that 320 acres we hunt. So Dad and I have come up with this plan, and we're going to implement it. We're going to plant more. We're going to try to plant something in July. We're going to plant some more in October, and we're going to try to track those deer in there, hold them in there. So that'll be some more videos. But this is toughest Mississippi hunting I've done in a long time. So this is kind of an interesting video. I wish I had 3 or 4 segments, but didn't get a lot of video because of how tough and hard it was hunting in Mississippi. Still had a great time with my son. Had a great time with my dad. My son almost got one. My dad got a couple. I was lucky enough to shoot that buck. He wasn't one of our 3 shooters, but he was a 3.5-year-old, and I showed you a picture of him. Here's a couple more pictures of him here. He's not the biggest buck, but let me tell you something. When you're hunting 2 weeks hard and you don't see but a couple of deer and one comes by you, you're going to take advantage of it. So I was real happy with him. And believe it or not, that's one of the biggest bucks they've killed up there in the last 5 years. So it kind of gives me pumped because I know those other 3 are probably bigger than that one. So let's feed them and get them ready, and we'll go at them in the 2012-2013 season. So thanks for watching ToxicGivens.com. You can email me at toxicgivens@gmail.com. You can leave your comments at this YouTube channel that you're in right now, or you can go to Facebook, log in, and do a search on Toxic Givens, or do a search on Reality Hunt Club, and like us, and we'll keep you up to date of all the new videos and articles that are coming out on the website that we do. So thanks for watching ToxicGivens.com, and stay tuned.